This is Kardec Radio for Teens. Important life-changing events as seen through the Spiritist perspective. Now it's time for real-life dilemmas experienced by teens themselves. The Diaries of Belinda and Alice with Carol Correa.
Hello friends! It is an honor to be here with you once again to be inspired by Belinda's own reflections. And last week, Belinda truly inspired us by discussing the effects of alcohol both on the physical body and on the spiritual body, and by reminding us that we are never alone. Whether we choose to acknowledge or not, we are surrounded by a wireless network of spiritual friends who either inspire us to continue working on our potential for the good, or who may inspire us to continue making less informed choices such as drinking alcohol. So even when we are making a quote-unquote possibly popular choice, or we're going along with the crowd, we may not only be going along with the crowd of friends who we can actually see with our physical eyes, but we are also always being inspired by a crowd of friends in the spiritual world. Isn't that enlightening, my beautiful friends, to understand that our physical world is not the end-all and be-all to our very own lives, that we ourselves are spirits living in a material world? Isn't that interesting? Once we become more aware of this spiritist approach to life, our own approach to our own choices become a bit different, right? Because we understand that our choices have ripple effects, not only to our physical body, but also to our emotional realm and spiritual realms of action. It is actually, in my particular point of view, quite empowering to understand that our actions can have such consequences. So why not make the best possible loving choices for ourselves so that we reap very loving results for ourselves as well. This is our goal, to nourish not only our body but also nourish our soul, putting into practice the maximum that our Master Jesus has taught us: love God above all things and yourself as your neighbor, or your neighbor as yourself. Isn't it beautiful that Jesus inspires us to practice love in all realms of life, including love towards ourselves? Isn't that wonderful, beautiful friends? And as you know, our physical, mental, and spiritual health are also our responsibility. This is why Belinda, as she continues studying to become a medical doctor, she tries to always examine the physical phenomena that she's able to observe as a medical student from an emotional and a spiritual perspective. Today in particular, Belinda Diary entry is very, very interesting. In continuing her internship in the hospital for which she works, she this time visits the psychiatric ward. This might give us a lot of food for thought, dear friends. Yes, usually the psychiatric ward in any hospital is attached to a stigma of very negative perceptions, whereby those who are usually left aside or quote-unquote temporarily forgotten are left there. When we can't find a solution for any approach, we may see the psychiatric ward as a last resort. But our beautiful Spiritist philosophy teaches us to think beyond what the eyes can see. Thank goodness. We have even through the Spiritist philosophy more to offer ourselves and others. Thank goodness our beautiful Spiritist philosophy takes away the limitations that we may be used to, because we may be used to looking at situations from a more material perspective or physical perspective rather than spiritual perspective. When we make that shift to looking towards life from a spiritual perspective, a beautiful opening occurs and our point of views broaden even more. So this is what Belinda is inviting us to do as we accompany her in her second internship round. If you remember, her first internship round was in the ER. Now she's visiting a psychiatric ward. And let's hear what Belinda has to say. Oh, dear diary, this has been the most interesting and thought-provoking experience of my life. Can you believe that I was actually invited to visit my hospital's psychiatric ward? Seriously, dear diary, at first I got chills on my spine because that's quite difficult to handle. Can you believe? Here are the thoughts that came to me. How am I going to communicate with the patients? What am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to know how they're feeling? When the professor talked to us about mental illnesses, I realized how complex they are. It's such a puzzle. How do we start handling it? I have no idea. Seriously, dear diary, I'm lost. But you know what? I'm gonna face it. I'm gonna do it. I can do it. And dear diary, here I am. I made it. I'm at the award, and wow, I see so much isolation here, dear diary. It's so sad to see these patients isolated within themselves. And through my mediumship, I can see the spiritual friends around them. They are really not alone, and at times their spiritual friends experience as much pain as they do. But wow, I don't know what to do. I guess I'm gonna have to think on that one. I don't know how to approach this. But wait! I hear a beautiful song. People are singing, dear diary. Wow! That I didn't expect. My goodness! I can see a smile coming up in one of the patients' faces. Oh my gosh, how beautiful to see them smiling. I have to go speak to the director of the hospital to understand what's going on. Oh wow, it seems that they're singing songs about Jesus and his love. Wow, that's truly amazing. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to ask. Oh yeah, dear diary, I know the secret. The director of the hospital told me that there's a group of a spiritist center who come to visit the patients in the psychiatric ward, sings to them and with them, and then reads a passage, a positive, beautiful, loving passage from the gospel, and then explains it to them and say a prayer. In other words, maybe according to what I hear from the center where I go, they do the God at home with the patients. Can you believe it? When I talked to the director of the hospital, he told me that at first the doctors really didn't want this prayer group to be involved in the patients or in the patient's treatment or even with the patients at all. But they notice that after the patients leave, after the group leaves, the patients are calmer, sweeter, more lucid than they were before. Isn't it beautiful, dear diary? It's one more proof to us that prayer really does work miracles. How beautiful, dear diary. Oh my gosh, this made my day. How about you, dear diary? Oh my gosh, let us continue to celebrate life in this way. See you, dear diary, for one more adventure. Bye. So, as you can see, dear friends, isn't this quite amazing that patients who are currently assigned to a psychiatric ward experience emotional changes when they participate of a prayer group? Isn't it beautiful? It's not by chance that Jesus said that faith can remove mountains, right? What beautiful mountains Belinda saw being removed. The mountains of isolation, mountains of fear, mountains of sadness and hopelessness, which she observed in both realms of life. She noticed that the patients themselves and their spiritual companions may have nurtured the same thought patterns, so they were a little bit plugged with one another mentally, and through prayer they were able, both the patients and their spiritual friends seem to have been gradually able to change their mental picture, their mental vibrations. Isn't that beautiful, dear friends? I thought that was simply amazing. The power of prayer showing itself to us quite clearly. As we learn in the book, the Genesis, chapter 14, when we emanate or produce any type of thoughts, what happens, spiritually speaking, according to the illuminated spirits, is that we create mental pictures enveloped by energy. And these mental pictures, with their accompanying energy, influence not only our physical and emotional state, but also the physical and emotional states of the spiritual friends who are connected to our hearts. So isn't it amazing that through thinking more positively, we can positively impact and nurture our very own souls, and by default also nurture the souls of the family of spirits around us? That's quite empowering, isn't it? And it's so beautiful. For me, it was so hopeful and beautiful to hear from Belinda that 15 minutes of prayer in a prayer group could bring so much hope to the patients and the spirits surrounding them. Isn't it amazing? Beautiful friends, that the power of prayer can actually be within our hands, within our reach, and by sharing prayer, we can actually empower others to become more in touch with their own potential. Sometimes some of us may think that prayer is not really an action because, what we do. We can't really see palpable results from prayer always. Sometimes it may seem that we're talking to the air, right? But Belinda shows to us, and the doctors in her hospital actually attest to that through prayer, the patients who were considered very difficult to address and treat and empower are actually becoming more in touch with their emotional selves and are actually becoming more in touch with their own potential. Isn't that beautiful? And the resort that Belinda's, that the group who visited the hospital uses is within our hands. That is the practice of a prayer group, or as some of us may call it, a God at home. Do you, dear friends, know what a God at home is? It's quite simple. In most Spiritist centers, if not all, we learn that it is possible to bring God to our home, to have God as a visitor, and to nourish our souls by scheduling a time every week to come together with our family or with just our spiritual friends for meditation and prayer. How do we do that? First, we schedule a day and a time. Then, on that day and that time, we invite other friends to join us, either in the material realm or in the spiritual realm, or both, if possible, by saying a little prayer of gratitude. Then we may choose a very empowering, positive, uplifting reading to meditate upon. That reading can come from the Gospel according to Spiritism, from the Bible itself, because the Gospel according to Spiritism is also the same as the Bible. The only thing is we have added there explanations of Jesus's beautiful parables by the loving spirits that inspired Kardec. And or we could read any other positive message books that we may enjoy, such as, for example, Living Spring is one that I enjoy, or Jesus at Home is also another one which I enjoy very much. So you may choose whatever message speaks to your heart. Then you may consider reading it out loud, even if you're by yourself physically, because our spiritual friends will truly enjoy listening to you. It will be a spiritual feast. So first, again, we say a little prayer to connect ourselves to God. Then we choose a positive message to meditate upon. Then we read that message out loud, we comment on that message, we think about something within that message that may have spoken to our hearts, and then we send out positive thoughts to those who we carry in our hearts. For example, we may send positive thoughts to our parents, to our grandparents, to the friends at our school, to those who are traveling on vacation at the moment, to those who have less resources than we do, to those who may be experiencing sadness right now, to those who may be experiencing joy right now. We may send positive thoughts to anyone or any persons who we carry within our hearts. And then the last step involves saying a final prayer. So the whole process may take 10, 20 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on how much discussion we choose to have. And then once we do this, dear friends, regularly, our house, our home, our hearts become like a little star that shines in the sky, bringing light not only to ourselves but to others. If you are interested in finding out more about the spiritual take on the process of the God at home, I invite you, if you wish, to read the book Messengers and No Solar by André Lewis. In the book No Solar, André Lewis discusses the God at Home done by a beautiful family who devotes some of their time on a weekly basis to prayer and meditation. And they do so with such open hearts that their entire home became a workshop for spirits like André Lewis and other spirits who always inspire us and love us despite the fact that we cannot always see them. So isn't it beautiful that by doing the God at Home or by engaging in any form of open-hearted meditation, we are inviting our family to expand, and we are making even more friends in the spiritual world. Isn't it wonderful, dear friends, to know that our family can be never ending, that the limits of our love are endless? That is quite a hopeful message. And so, for this week, let us practice what Belinda has inspired us to do, which is to nourish not only our physical bodies, but also our souls. And with that, I would like to nourish our souls at this very moment by inviting you, dear friends, to close your eyes. Take a deep, deep breath in gratitude for the gift of life, and imagine yourselves in the Galilee, in the beautiful beaches of Galilee. Imagine yourself walking barefoot in a beautiful scenery. Envision the breeze caressing your face very softly and very gently. And listen carefully, dear friends, to beautiful footsteps that are coming your direction. You turn around to see who that friend may be, and you notice his sweet, gentle, loving face. You notice his hair to be at shoulder length. You notice his eyes to be a pure blue piercing color like the sky. You notice that his arms are open and he's inviting you to embrace him. And he says, "Hello, my darling. I am your friend, Jesus. I am here for you at all times. Please know that you can count on me under any circumstance. My love for you is unconditional and eternal. Always come here for a sweet embrace of hope and joy. I believe in you and I love you forever." As Jesus embraces you, dear friend, you feel a wave of infinite joy reaching your heart, your mind, and your spirit. You feel completely renewed, and you feel ready to achieve all of your goals as an immortal spirit. You feel happy, you feel serene, you feel as though you are able to reach all of your potential. And anytime you feel that you need to be recharged spiritually, you now know that Jesus himself, the sweet and loving Master, is awaiting for you with open arms, knowing that Jesus is your friend for all times. You see yourself showered by many beautiful, countless blessings. You see these blessings spreading through your home, your relatives, your parents, your animals, your pets, the gardens, the flowers, the street in which you live, the other families to whom you are connected, your neighbors, your friends, your town, your country, and you see also Jesus embracing the whole world, surrendering to this feeling of infinite love. We send you more and more blessings each day, and we thank you very much, dear friends, for the gift of you and of your beautiful heart always. See you next time. Many, many blessings.
This has been Cardiac Radio for Teens. Thank you all for listening.